Hey, hello student. In previous class, we have discussed the importance of trade, house. The trade house as intermediate law connecting between a supplier and buyer. In particular, I emphasized once you are the first entrant which has no experience of overseas sales, I strongly recommend you to use the trade house because trade house is expertise for the certain area and certain product. Okay, trade house is only a representative word which is used in Canadian market, but in other areas, rather of the familiar intermediary brokerage system is exist. Whether it is in public system or in private system, regardless of the word used. Uh, you can use this kind of trade, house, which is very essential. I emphasized again because you have no experience to enter the new market. New market is quite strange to you, and you might have spent a lot of your cost as a called a pouring cost. The pouring cost is a cost which can be spent unnecessary because you are in quite strange area in pouring area. For instance, if you travel to a very blinded, strange area, when the darkness comes in, you feel and scary about stranger atmosphere. So you will hurry to find very safe hotel right there with a 5 star. Then you might have very right rate for room, and then you spend unnecessary expenditure for that uh, because you the first issue you have to obtain in this situation is to be a very safer. Okay, you need a shelter. Okay, to avoid dangerous of your stranger area. Okay, so using this house trade house is very important because this trade house provide you your convenience and saving a lot of cost which it cannot be spent unnecessary. Okay. From now on, we will discuss regarding the of benefit of trade house, which is very useful once you stand to uh, once you run into your new market. Okay, uh, I'll give you some some the paragraph to read together, and as we are going, we will find that the meaning of this paragraph, and also I will give you extra explanations to easy understanding. Okay. Uh, once you hired, once you hired this kind of intermediary brokerage called trade house. This term trade house is usually called as a brokerage intermediary in Canada area, but in other area we have the similar word, not exactly the same, but the similar brokerage system connecting expert and buyers. Okay, the manufacturers in this case, what case? Once you hire your trade house, the manufacturer's responsibility is limited. Okay, to supplying goods of the quantity and quality at a price and the time frame agreed with the uh, trade house. All other export elements are performed by the trade house, whose function can be described uh, as follows. Okay, so you as a manufacturers, your responsibility is limited. So once you work with this kind of trade house, because trade house are responsible for lots of responsibility, and in terms of trading. So let's in detail find what is the difference between you know uh, the explanation of exploring the market for yourself from using this kind of intermediary brokerage called trade house. Okay. Once you hire your trade house, they will find to identify a potential market for a given product. Okay, and to find the buyers or agent. Okay, uh, to elicit their interest. Okay, to ask to establish the product specifications in the right of market needed, the standard and the regulations in accordance with the supplier's capability. Okay, this is very important to establish the product specification, because the specification is very critical things which can be provided by manufacturer, because through specifications your customer finally detect whether the product you try to sell them is appropriate to their need or not. Okay, so the specifications with easy explanation is very important. You have to prepare this sort of specification with a very easy explanations. Okay, and for easy understanding of your customer. And also the standard and regulations should be detected in advance, okay, prior to you jump into the new market, because sometimes the sellers and exporters merely think that if their product is good quality, they can explore the market, but this is quite different. That this kind of thought is quite far from the reality, because the standard regulations can act as a barrier to your exporting. Okay, seriously, because the standard is very severe. Okay, very strict. uh, this kind of standard should be satisfactory and satisfied by your side, because this standard usually as a for protect their nation's uh, safety. The standard and regulations also by law, this kind of safety rules are registrated as regulations. Okay. Also, uh, the trade house will determine the appropriate mode of transportations. The mode of transportation, whether you will use the trucking or use the seaway, the airway, or multi transportations, whatever. Okay, according to the appropriate, which is which can maximize the property of your trading. Okay, so to determine the appropriate mode of transportations and routing with regarding to cost and quality of service and security. Okay, it depending on what kind of transportation will be used is depending on the cost and quality of service and security. Okay, to price the goods for delivery at destinations. Okay, it is also the role of trade house. Instead of you once they are involved in your business. Okay. Uh, Also, the all things like below written down is the law of laws are in trade house responsibility. Okay. Also, we will also talking about also the correcting the payment for goods delivered. Okay, so you don't have to worry about how you will correct the payment. Okay, after you deliver the good, and also the responsible to and settle down claims. It's also the share of uh, the trade house should be responsible for this settlement also. Okay, once you have any claims from your customer that you don't have to worry about, because instead of you, the trade house will be responsible for that. To ensure all necessary follow-up and smooth relation with suppliers and clients. Okay, that's also role of a trade house. uh, Okay, so we have generally described, the role of trade house. So the most trading house acts as principals for their own account. Okay, uh, they are not a consultant. They are firm buyers making a profit. Okay, on the transactions. Other traders will act as manufacturers' agents and will represent the wide spectrums of complementary product. They can they can then distribute their cost of the whole range of product from the number of uh, suppliers. Okay, the agent on the commissions if a deal is concluded. Okay, after payment has been received by the manufacturers. In this manner, the cost to the supplier is the uh, uh, proportions to the result and will only affect the daily cost of the transaction. Okay, this is the way how trade house make a profit in the business with you. Okay, next we're gonna see, okay, market research and the product adaptation procedure should be done whether you're depending on trade house or for yourself. Okay, because the market research is the process to find your customer. The thing I have to emphasize here first again is to be focused on customer. Customer is the basic element. Whether you have very nice facility, whether you have very nice personnel to proceed your business, whatever the other things which is very nice, but without customer you cannot proceed and you cannot successfully done your business. So in your business, the finding the customer is very important. The customer to have very systematically finding your customer, you have to proceed the research by trading house or research by for yourself. The research is market research, and through market research you will find the situations of market and make your objective uh, to establish, to complete. Okay, when a trading house acts as a merchant offering a primary commodity, the initial research consists essentially of consulting the network of contract in order to locate the potential buyer. Okay, after gathering all necessary information on product and determine the supplier's ability to deliver of the constant quality on time, the main interest of your trade house is whether you can provide constantly the quality and quantity of the product where the market require on time. The trading house then check with its this point and these factors and to consider whether they will work with you or not. Okay. uh, Trading house is very specialized, the enterprise or personality. Okay, so they do not at random agree with your proposal without any considerations. Prior to accept your proposal, they will try to consider whether your product in the market is successful and to find whether is there any custom to purchase your product or not. And after all consideration, sorry, they will decide whether they will work with you or not. Okay, and once they decide to work with you, the whole cost used for this research market research can be also be contained in their whole package expenditure, meaning that, okay, for instance, you have the problems to consult lawyer, and then you have to pay for the consulting fee, as per time. But once you hired your lawyer for your lawsuit, this fee will be included their whole contingency fee. Okay, so you don't have to separately account for that. Okay, likewise, you don't have to separately pay for this expenditure used for researchers, but you have to include this one your whole fee of your trade house once you agree to work together. Okay, and okay, let's see the procedure how your trade house proceed, the market research. The initial contact is followed by the sending documentary and the samples to the prospective client. This client can be selected by trade house from their database. Okay, the database which is accumulated for long time experience and collected for a long time, and this database should be reality. In theory, should meet your requirement and should be the client to purchase your product properly. Okay, sometimes accurately. the the merchant can then begin negotiations with the supplier on one side. Okay, and potential buyers on the other side. The merchants in this term, the merchants means the trade house. Okay, the trade house role is to make their profit. Okay, the trade house is not a house to get the P. The trade house's profit can be between the two sides. Okay, you and your customer. Okay, they will try to get the lower price from you, and they will try to get the higher price from your customer. The difference between two costs is their profit. In case, the trader acts as expert. Okay, just not only not as a merchant merely, but as both the traders expert. In this case, this trade house has to have another additional tasker. Okay, jobs. Okay, what jobs? Okay, they needed to have additional jobs, the development of marketing strategy. Their role is much more elaborate and include the design and implementations of complete prospective plan. Okay, complete prospective plan is more best and more accurate. Okay, a plan to succeed in the market. Okay, this plan should be very accurate. Okay, should be very accurate. Once this kind of sorry research is done, the market study is completed, meaning that they have correct as much as information they need to consider. Okay, the whole objective is the sales objective is established, and the strategy to reach the objectives has been defined, meaning that okay, according to the informations they gather, they collected, they will decide and they will run, their statistic, programs and find that whether this business is successful or not. And then once they find that their business is successful in the future, they will make a short plan for as an objective. The objective is their main aim to establish for a certain period. Okay, then this objective is their main objective, their aim, okay, to establish it, to complete in a certain period. Okay, it can be a monthly, or it can be quarterly, or it can be half years or years, whatever, depending on their strategy and their plan. Okay. And the trader and his supplier will have to adopt an action plan which will constitute a starting point. The starting point is very important. The starting point is point to start, their business in certain area with a certain product. Okay, so to make the plan and very, very concrete and very, successful and very prospective plan for the starting point is very important. Okay, the market study then by the reviewing of the data collected from market, the market study will be finalized. Okay, the sales objective also at the same time will be established, and strategy to reach the objective has been defined. So the traders and his supplier will have to adopt an action plan which will constitute a starting point. This is meaning of the starting point. Okay. Okay. The market study will propose a research budget. We need a budget, okay? Because the research budget is the budget for the study and collecting data, the research like that, as a part of total sales budget, which in turns is based on the projected sales. Okay, this is projected sales. Okay, the choice of research options and their methodology will be a part of a strategic defined by the manufacturers when the export plans are first to be developed. Okay? Okay. The research plan is based on the classic export game plan, and the following sequence is followed. But this sequence now will be omitted. Okay, I just mentioned that this kind of sequence can be exist. Okay. Okay, this is just the introductions, how we have to handle our the first step as initial stage once you plan to jump into the new market. Okay, in this lecture, I constantly stressed that you'd better choose a trade house. You'd better choose, intermediate brokerage, okay, to reduce your cost, which is unnecessary as a foreign cost. Pouring cost is the cost because you jumped in the area without any preparations, without any expertise for that market. So you have to be very professional once you jumped in new market, and you need a very accurate preparations for new market explanations. Okay, uh, next lectures I will give you more detail how we have to proceed the researchers in new market, because marketing research is very essential to find your customer, and customer is your critical base and the element for your business. Even you have very nice facility, even you have a very nice personnel and other person very nice spotting pod, but if you don't have your custom, your business will be nothing. So I strongly recommend you to find, try and great effort to find your customer by market research, and do not hesitate to invest your fund, fund, which is dedicated to the research, of your market. Your market research is most important basement and the basic procedure to explore your new market. Okay, at the next following lectures, we will see the more detail about the market research.